Once upon a time, there was a convention called E3, and we all loved E3, but then it died, and now it's dead. Welcome to Triple Click, where we bring the games to you. Today, we are talking about Summer Games Fest, which is not quite E3, but for now, I guess it'll do the trick. I'm Jason Schreier.
I'm Kirk Hamilton.
And I'm Maddy Myers. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
As you are listening to this, we are all on our way, or shortly we'll be on our way to Southern California for Summer Games Fest. I refuse to call it Summer Game Fest. It will
we
always
won't do it.
And forever be Summer Games Fest.
Yeah,
and
sorry, Jeff.
The three of us are going to convene. We're going to hang out, and we're doing a live show. That's wild. That's so much fun. I'm so looking forward to that.
It's going to be great.
Very
Hanging
So
out
hey,
in
if
person.
you will be in Los Angeles this weekend and you have not yet bought tickets, what the heck are you waiting for? We're going to be at the Terragram Ballroom in downtown LA on Saturday night, June 8th at 6:30 p.m. You can get tickets in the show notes, so go check it out. And hey, if you like us and going to our live shows and other assorted Triple Click related tasks, you should become a member of Maximum Fun. Yes, tasks, Triple Click tasks.
Check them off the list, I always say.
Side quests, triple click side quests. We are, of course, a member-funded podcast. We are funded entirely by listeners like you, so you should become a member and help us make the show possible. And not only do you get to make this show possible, you also get extra content from us, extra monthly bonus episodes that we put out, including the one we just did, which was, of course, Triple Cook, a cooking
really
extravaganza that we
episode.
cracked into our kitchens and just showed everybody what was inside. And we're planning, I guess I can say, an extra special episode this coming month about the Double Fine documentary, the documentary about the making of Psychonauts 2. It came out last year, but we have all now almost, Manny, you've almost finished it. So we will be talking about it, going in depth on that game and really game development more broadly, because that series is so good and so revealing and so interesting to talk about.
We've recommended it a ton, but people should really watch it. Whether they're members or not, you should check it out.
It's just on YouTube.
Really
you
good.
can just go watch it.
It's free.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's free. And you should
totally
just watch
free.
it.
It's pretty cool. There aren't even ads. It's just like you go watch it and it's just
That's
there.
true.
Cool. So yeah, go to MaximumFun.org/join, become a member today. So this week we are talking about the event formerly known as E3. And things used to be simple in the gaming industry in early June. It used to be that you could just be like, hey, it's E3. Let's watch E3. Nowadays you have to be like, oh my God, what is going on? What
is
are
everything?
these
When
dozen
are they
events?
streaming?
Yeah, when are they? And also, when I tell people now that I'm like going out to LA for a conference, they're always like, oh, what conference? And it used to be I could be like, I'm going for E3. And most people have probably heard that name before. Whereas now I have to be like, oh, well, it's called Summer Games Fest. It's actually called Summer Game Fest, but I call it Summer Games Fest, and it used to be called E3, and blah, blah, blah. You have to give a whole preamble, which is a little annoying. What's the deal with it? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how much we miss E3 and what to expect from this weekend's / month's Summer Games Fest. I do. I miss E3. I mean, one of the things that E3 had going for it was that it was all just like a single location. It was all... There were a lot of people who just came. You would often just run into like industry people, or you could catch up with people you hadn't seen in years, or meet new people. And this is a lot more limited. It does have a few advantages that we can get into as we talk through it. But before we get into the kind of the nitty-gritty, the specifics of Summer Games Fest, I'm curious, do you two, we talked about E3 a few times on the show before, do you two feel like you miss it still? Have your thoughts changed as we've now gone like 4 years without E3, 5 years without E3?
I mean, I don't know that Kirk misses it, but I kind of do, and I've realized I do in how excited I am to go to Summer Game Fest this weekend. Like, it really does feel like it felt many years ago when Jason and I went to E3 together for Kotaku. I don't know if I'm still going to feel that way afterward. We'll have to check back in and see how we feel about the event, because this is my first time going to this, and I am going to be directly comparing it to the very last E3 that Jason and I went to and recorded some split screen episodes at back in the day. And I'm remembering like, oh, there's so many fun things about it. Like you get to talk in person with developers and get interviews and try to transcribe your interviews really, really quickly in your hotel room and like file stories in time for embargoes. And like as an editor, I don't really have that many opportunities anymore to like get back into my reporter mode. So that's going to be kind of fun for me. This is not really something Jason can relate to. He's in reporter mode 24/7. But for me, this is kind of like returning to something really fun that I don't often get to do. And part of why I'm doing it is because we decided to do a Triple Click live show. So in the end, I was like, well, I may as well just cover this event for Polygon. And so now I'm just doing the whole kit and caboodle. So I'm really excited for it. And I'm just kind of telling myself it's going to be as fun and as exciting and interesting as E3 was for me. But I guess that means my expectations are kind of high. But Kirk, how are you feeling about it?
I'm looking forward to this quite a bit. I mean, I'm looking forward to going to LA to seeing some people I haven't seen in a long time. I'm really excited for our live show. It'll be fun just to see the two of you in person and get to hang out. So all of that is great. And that was always what I liked about any video game event when I was still working in games media. You know, I never really like loved E3. So I think every time you've asked me that question, Jason, I've said, I don't really miss E3. But then there are certainly things that I miss about it. And I do miss how it was this giant confluence of announcements and information. Even before I was writing about games for my job, I just really liked that there would be this week. I mean, I still remember this before I even really knew what E3 was. Just the feeling of, oh, right, it's that week where everything happens. And I didn't even know what that meant. I just knew that I would go to like GameSpot and IGN basically only and just look at those sites, and there would just be like tons and tons of trailers and announcements, and it was just kind of cool to sift through it, and there was something for everyone, and I could always find something that was interesting or exciting. So I liked that. I liked the feeling of everything happening at once, just because that's exciting. The feeling of like sifting through informational rubble and finding exciting bits of treasure, that's pretty cool. And I don't know whether this SGF will be like that, or I guess I haven't really had that experience from Summer Game Fest. But then again, I don't really experience game announcements that way anymore to begin with. I just feel like nowadays just games, they keep showing up and they're all really good, and I wasn't aware of any of them. That my experience this year has just been like smallish game after smallish game, all of which are really, really fun, and none of which I was aware of until I like heard Russ talk about them on the besties, or one of the two of you told me about them, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, well, this is one of the best games I've played. So I don't know, my whole relationship with game announcements has just kind of changed.
Yeah, so let's kind of break this down a little bit. So E3 traditionally had two main components. Component one was the press conference portion. That was usually in the beginning of the week. Like it would start Saturday or Sunday and go through Tuesday, and it would be all the heavy hitters. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, EA and Ubisoft would have them. Square Enix had them once in a while, and they would all do their big game announcements. And then the second component was the in-person component, and that's something where like maybe your average listener might not have had the chance to like get as much out of, but for reporters it was a huge opportunity, because not only could you go and see some of those big games and talk to the people behind them, you could also go and find kind of little corners of the convention center where maybe there were some smaller gems to discover. At E3 2019, well, really at every E3, I've always found like one or two little games that were then on my radar and hadn't been before. E3 2019, I found a game that was definitely on my radar called Hollow Knight Silksong, and played a bunch of it like on a demo, like in the Nintendo section, which is cool. And so now with Summer Games Fest, the second component of that, the part where we play hands-on games, actually does still exist, and I'll get to that in a second. The first component has just become a total mess of like, it's just a disaster. So like, for example, PlayStation had a showcase last week, but it was like, compared to an E3 showcase, it was nothing. It was all just like the small, like most insignificant announcements you could possibly imagine, other than like a new Astrobot game, which I'm sure people are very excited excited for, and I'm pretty excited for it. I mean, I'll play that for sure. 3D platformer, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I look forward to playing 2 or 3 hours of that and not finishing it, but thinking that it was great.
I'm sure, yes. But typically a Sony show at E3 would be a lot bigger. The stakes would be a lot higher. It might have, in addition to like the big new Horizon and God of War or whatever else, it would also have a bunch of third-party announcements. There was a big showcase from Destiny. There was the Final Fantasy VII remake was announced at one of those. Final Fantasy 15 was announced at one of those. That sort of stuff would happen at a Sony showcase. That is no more. Like, that did not happen. Nintendo, who knows? They said they're doing something in June. We have no idea when. As of right now, they haven't announced shit, so we have no clue.
And we know that it won't have the Switch 2 at it because they went ahead and told us.
We do know that. Yes. But point being that suddenly things are a lot more scattershot. What we do know is that I want to kind of walk through exactly what we're going to see over the coming days. We do know that there's a ton of, I'm going to kind of go through the major stuff because there's a ton of like smaller showcases and video streams that people have put together, which I mean, props to them, but like you can safely wait until you see a roundup or see like trailers pop up on gaming sites to see what's cool from those. Like, you don't need to be tuning into every little like indie developer stream that is happening this weekend. But the big ones start with the Jeff Keighley event, which is Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific. This is like his big keynote full of his trailer announcement, world premiere, whatever. Basically the same as the Game Awards, except without awards. This is from what I remember last year. It was very underwhelming and loud and full of violence, and it was very gory. It was like it had a lot of. I remember
there were
vividly.
a lot of horror games too, as I recall.
Well, I remember the Mortal Kombat stuff just being really, really hard to get through. And then Xbox is still doing their thing. Xbox is the one company that has been consistent. They're still doing their thing on the same day. They've always done it Sunday of this, like, first Sunday in June or second Sunday in June or whatever.
That's true. Xbox always was Sunday, weren't they?
Always was Sunday morning, and they're doing the same thing, and they're probably going to have a bunch of big stuff. We can talk about what we expect and want to see from them in a second. And then Ubisoft will be on Monday. They typically did Monday in the past as well, so they're still going to have their thing. And then there's a bunch of stuff sprinkled around in there. And then Nintendo, who knows?
Question mark?
EA maybe will show some of their stuff throughout these events, but like really it's a lot more darts kind of scattered around as far as like what's going to go where, what you're going to see when. But then the good part for press is that the other component of Summer Games Fest is what's called SGF Play Days, Summer Games Fest Play Days, which is tucked away in downtown LA. There's this area that is like a campus where press can go in and kind of see in a low-key setting a lot of these games. And there will be a lot of the games that we're expected to see and hands-on time with a ton of indie games. And unlike E3, there won't be a ton of lines or massive crowds, at least based on last year, because it's very much intended for press only. So the downside of that is you won't get to like see funny things and like run into fans or like see Hideo Kojima roaming around or Shigeru Miyamoto like playing Astrobot or whatever. But the upside for us, for the three of us, and we'll all get to experience this and we could talk about this at the live show once we have, is that we actually get to sit and play some games. So that'll be a nice experience, I think, and might make up for some of the downsides of E3 that we've had in the past.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that, even though I know that some of the games that we play we won't be allowed to talk about on the live show, so people will have to wait a week, I guess, for us to be allowed to talk about some of them. But we'll talk about what we can that Saturday night, and that'll be fun.
We'll see.
So when I look at this lineup of press conferences and potential announcements, I'm struck by how different it feels from how E3 used to feel, and how a lot of that difference, I think, is tied to just ways that the video game industry has changed, and specifically the way that the console universe has changed and the sort of decline of console exclusivity. There used to be these kind of pillars that held up E3, the Sony night, the Xbox night, Nintendo morning. There was always that later morning where all the Nintendo stuff happened. And then filling in the cracks, there were the third-party publishers, EA and Ubisoft, sort of chief among them. But like Konami, I think, would have a weird press conference sometimes, or you'd hear from Capcom.
Yeah, sometimes
some of
Capcom
these.
does one.
So you'd see these third-party announcements, but there was like this sense that there were these big hardware manufacturers who were releasing these exciting games and kind of battling with one another. And while the console wars were always pretty exhausting and never something I think any of the three of us cared about, that sense of competition between these big names did lend a kind of an excitement to the proceedings, and also led to like the announcement of these big games that were kind of pitted against each other. And without that now, like you really, like the Sony event had very little in terms of exclusivity, and Sony is kind of the one console maker that's still pursuing that. Xbox, it's becoming increasingly hazy what kind of exclusivity they're even interested in, and whether they're just going to become a multi-platform company. I mean, Sony even looks like they're going that way. So, you know, basically looking at all these games, there's just this sense that, okay, these are a bunch of games that might come out, but it's lacking that underlying structure. I'm honestly not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because like I said, like I've never found the console wars interesting or fun, and I actually think it'd be really cool if every game certainly came out on PC, but if every game came out on every system and there were like everyone could just play everything as easily as possible. That seems like a great outcome, but it really changes the energy of an event like this. And I'm curious what the two of you think of that.
Yeah, it's especially noteworthy that the one console titan that is doing like an SGF weekend event is Xbox. And Xbox, the rumor is that Xbox plans to announce a bunch of stuff that is then going to be revealed to be coming to PlayStation on day one, such as a new Doom game, a new Gears of War game, etc. So that is a total paradigm shift. And yeah, speaks to your point and speaks to the evolving nature of the industry. And Nintendo is that's the real lack. There's a big void here left by Nintendo not being there, because Nintendo was always the one where like you knew you were going to see some sort of delightful surprise. And unlike the other console makers, when Nintendo revealed something, chances were pretty high, not always, but chances were pretty high that not only would you play it in the next year, but it would live up to the kind of the expectations that people had. It was rare for Nintendo to miss with one of its big franchises and big reveals.
Yeah, just to circle back to what you said about Xbox for a second, I think it's pretty telling that Call of Duty is the game that they chose for the second half of their showcase, because that is a notably multi-platform release. And it just is an echo of what Kirk was talking about just now, which is that a lot of these major games are multi-platform now. And some of that is because in order to pay for a AAA game or justify the cost of a AAA game, you do in fact have to be on multiple platforms. I know Jason and I talked about this a little bit in the episode where you weren't here, Kirk, where we were talking about Helldivers 2 and like Sony seemingly being weirdly protective of it and like kind of not duking it out with the PC port of it, but like there was some weird tension there. And I've been thinking about that a lot since then, especially in light of just how Xbox is handling its own position in whatever is left of the console war now, which is Xbox still a hardware manufacturer, or are they just really leaning on software as their brand? And also, is that software just as equally on PlayStation? And if that's the case, then what does the word Xbox even mean? It's interesting.
I don't think we'll have an answer to this.
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's interesting. Yeah, it seems like on Sunday, I think they're gonna come out. They're gonna have some sort of weird shit, and then afterwards, Phil Spencer he's appearing on IGN Live, which I haven't even talked about. That's like a whole another competing event we really have no idea what to make of. That's happening at the same time as Summer Games Fest. But anyway, Phil Spencer's appearing on IGN Live on Sunday, shortly after, a few hours after the Xbox showcase, and presumably he's going to make some news there by talking about like the future of Xbox, the Xbox strategy, multi-platform. It would be pretty funny if he just came out and said, I'm stepping down, but I don't expect that to happen.
Probably not.
Let's break it down a little bit and talk a little bit about what we hope to see, what we expect to see. Because personally, I mean, I have a whole list full of appointments, and the stuff I'm most excited for might be like the small indie stuff, because that's just what's been so impressive to me this year, is like games that come out of nowhere. Like I have an appointment to see this game called Arranger. That's like an RPG type like grid based puzzle thing, and I'm just excited to see. Yeah, you've seen it, right? I'm excited to see that more than like latest AAA whatever. But anyway, let's break it down. So let's start with the Keeley note. Let's. I think that he's come out and done a whole list of like what's not going to be there. He tried to like tamper people's expectations a little bit, but I do expect there to be some cool stuff at that show. In fact, I expect it to be a little bit better than last year's, just based on the buzz and what we've kind of seen floating around. Some stuff we know will be there include like Metaphor Fantasio, which is the new Persona fantasy game that's going to be pretty cool. I think that they've said that Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be there. He said there's been word 2K, I believe, said they're planning on revealing. I think they said the next game in a beloved franchise. I think they said, I don't remember if they said it'll be at this show or just
what's that
at SGF in general. Yeah, I mean,
BioShock?
Yeah, BioShock
Mafia,
is what I was thinking.
It is not BioShock, I promise.
Is it Mafia?
It is not BioShock. It could be Mafia. I mean,
what are other 2K series?
Yeah, what are other beloved 2K series?
Yeah, Mafia is an option. Borderlands is an option. I'm keeping an eye on XCOM. We haven't seen a new XCOM game
That's true.
in a while. And Firaxis has been quiet for a couple of years now. But yeah, I mean, lots of potential options there. I think I don't know what else he said. He said that like Silk Song is not going to be there.
I know. I was going to bring that up. I mean, it is funny that he just came right out and said that. I kind of respect Jeff for just being like, listen, I'm going to set expectations right now. I have not heard from Team Cherry. No one has heard from them. We do not know what is going on.
We're all getting a little worried.
Yeah, I mean, I would not be surprised if we saw Silk Song at Xbox this Sunday. I would not be super shocked. I think people would freak out.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, just because something isn't at Jeff's kickoff, it doesn't mean it's not going to be at the other event.
Silk Song, yeah, well, exactly. And actually, I was surprised that Jeff spoke so strongly about that, given maybe he doesn't know exactly what
he might not know.
Sunday.
Yeah.
So Silk Song was, the last time we saw it, I believe, was at Xbox's show last June. And before that show, Xbox was like, every game we show will be out in the next 12 months. Clearly, that was not the case with Silk Song. In fact, Silk Song...
They did a statement about it, yeah.
They put out a statement. They said, actually, we're not going to make it in that time frame. We had to delay it a little bit. But I think there's a good shot. If I were a betting man, which I am, I would bet on Silk Song appearing Sunday with a release date for like later in the year. That would be my bet.
Wow, I love the optimism. I am not going to bet on that. I just read Jeff's statement. I was like, I'm just not going to see it. I'm just going to assume it's not happening. I don't know.
See, I already bet that Silk Song would come out in May, and we are recording this
we have an actual
looking
bet.
at my computer, it says it's June 4th, so I'm not going to bet on Silk Song.
Interesting.
Anymore after this.
Interesting.
The other big thing that we know we're going to see this weekend is Dragon Age 4. So EA has said that they will be showing Dragon Age over the summer. I expect it'll be one of those things where it's like we're doing a full blowout. We're going to talk about this game and then we're going to release it really soon. Like I expect Dragon Age 4 to be out like this fall, probably in the earlier end of the fall would be my kind of educated speculation there. So that'll be cool. That'll be really cool to see. I know all three of us are excited about that game.
We are. I mean, that was something that I also became so negative about that I made a triple click predictions bet that it would be canceled.
Oh, that's
right.
I was like, we haven't seen it in so
you know?
long. But now I have already, prior to this show even happening, I've been proven wrong. Apparently the game does exist, but I had lost hope.
It does exist.
They've been taking appointments, but for your appointment, you're just going to walk into an empty room with just like a middle finger drawn on the wall.
And they'll be like, the good news is you won your predictions bet, Maddy. This game is a lie. It never existed. Yeah, no, it actually does seem like it exists, but it does. I am still really curious what it is going to be. I think every Dragon Age fan is, and every kind of general BioWare fan is, given just the state of that studio in the years since the last one.
Specifically the fact that they've lost so many of the writers, including David Gator, who wrote and made the Dragon Age games so great. And it really is an open question whether they're going to be able to make that magic happen again with new people. I hope that they will, because I do like those earlier games, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, it's always interesting when a franchise lasts this long, which it's now 15 years old at this point, because the
like
people who are working on people who are working on the 2009, so 15 years. People who are working on the newest one are fans of the older ones. Inevitably, like they grew up, maybe they're younger, they grew up playing the older one. I saw a meme on Reddit last year when Baldur's Gate 3 came out. That was like the Ratatouille, the critic of Ratatouille, like eating Baldur's Gate 3, and then he has the flashback, and it's like Dragon Age Origins, and I was like, man, I've never felt so old as I did while seeing that meme. Something else we're going to see, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but we're going to see the next Batman Arkham game at SGF
that's cool.
This Friday. Yeah.
Who's developing that?
Batman Arkham VR.
How dare you, Jason? How dare you do
this is another Arkham VR after the first one? Made by Rocksteady?
By Camouflage is making an Arkham VR game.
Oh, the one that ends with a J?
Yeah.
Camouflage made that one VR game. What's it called?
Iron Man.
It was pretty good. They made something before that. I'm gonna look it up. It was an original.
It was fun
IP.
watching Maddie's eyes light up.
I was like, but all those Rocksteady developers left and they made their own studio. What could Jason be talking about? Oh, he's just messing with me.
So Rocksteady did make a Batman VR game that was pretty good.
Yeah. They made
the game that I'm talking about, the Camouflage made, was called Republique, which is a pretty cool. It was, I think, originally an iPad game, and then I believe there's also a VR version of it. But it was a neat, like, fixed camera point stealth game that was pretty clever. So actually, you joke, and and I get it, like a new Arkham game that's like an actual third-person game would be cool. But Batman Arkham VR was a pretty cool little VR game. The one that was made by Rocksteady. It was very weird how much talent was brought to bear on that game, given that it was like a PSVR game that I don't know how many people played. And Camouflage has some very talented developers. So that's actually cool. I didn't know that they were working on that.
A couple more things. So what I'm really excited about, like I said before, is just the indie games that come out of nowhere. And actually, Keeley has already confirmed that a couple of indie games will be there, including the next game from Cappy, the makers of Swords and Sorcery, and a lot of other cool games below. Yes, which I think was kind of underwhelming compared to all the hype, but still, some people like that game. It was an interesting game for sure. It'll be really cool to see what they have coming next. And there's also, I think we're going to see some stuff from Derek Hughes' studio, Mossmouth. I don't remember if that might be at the Day of the Devs indie presentation that is after the Keeley thing. But I expect that like there will be at least one game that we all see this weekend that we're just like super jazzed about, that we just had no idea that was coming. And that's always the stuff that's most exciting.
Yeah, that's always so fun.
And then Xbox thing on Sunday, that I think they're gonna have some cool stuff, or at least stuff that people are excited about. I think some of the big heavy hitters will include Avowed, the new RPG from Obsidian that's coming out later this year.
We haven't seen in a little bit.
We haven't seen it in a little bit. They announced that it was coming out this year, unless it slips, which, I mean, it's a games industry.
Remind me, Avowed is the somewhat Skyrim-looking first-person spell-casting RPG fantasy game?
Yeah, exactly. It's their first-person. It's set in the same universe as Pillars of Eternity. And
that's right.
It's their Skyrim.
Oh. That's cool.
Skyrim. Yeah, it looks cool. I mean, I know that game has been through some development troubles. They switched directors, but I'm pretty jazzed to see it. I mean, Obsidian makes good games.
Jason, did you play Pillars of Eternity 2? You did, right?
I did. I didn't finish it.
It's like a pirate game, right? Is that game good? It looks
you're on a
awesome.
ship.
I
it does
don't
look
remember where
good.
I saw
I've
it, but I saw someone
it.
talking about it and was like, this kind of looks amazing.
It's really interesting. I think that they added this kind of turn-based combat mode post-release that that I think made the game much better. But yeah, I mean, it was sales-wise, it disappointed compared to the first game, and it definitely had some issues. I don't know. I never finished it, so I guess I wasn't that gripped by it. The first one I finished. By the way, I was thinking. about what I said earlier with Firaxis. I hadn't realized they announced a new civilization like on Twitter. So what if it's that? What if it's just them revealing Civilization 7? So
That's not a bad
another
thing.
possibility.
Civilization's cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about like what would the new 2K franchise be? Civilization actually seems more likely than XCOM to me. So maybe
That's a good guess.
that. I just don't think BioShock is not going to happen. Borderlands 4 seems...
It was the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Borderlands 4, it seems a little too soon for. And Mafia 4, that's the other possibility. I would say if I were a betting man, which I am, I would bet in either Mafia 4...
Jason's placing so many bets on STF. It's
yeah,
kind
man,
of out of control.
if only my bookie would take these bets. No, yeah, it's either Mafia 4 or Civ 7, I think would be a good guess there. Xbox also has Indiana Jones coming later this year. That's their other big kind of fall/winter game. And that game looked rad from what we saw of it last time, right? I was super jazzed on it.
No release date yet, though, so I figure they'll maybe actually tell us one of those. That's the main thing.
Yeah, probably both. I'm guessing like Avowed, like November and Indiana Jones December, something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is the
seems...
fun thing about June. I get to find out what all the games are I'm playing in the second half of the year. Like, I just literally would like to know the release dates, please, so that I can organize the rest of my year. They just don't tell us until June.
It would be helpful to know. Yeah, it's really annoying. I'm like planning out a book tour for October, and I'm like, I wish I knew when the big games are coming out so I could like act accordingly. It is a little annoying.
Like, know which ones will run on Steam Deck, and you can take them with you when you're traveling.
Exactly.
Is this year a little bit, is it more pronounced this year, that feeling that there is just a huge black box in the second half of the year? Or is it always this way in June?
It's always this way. I always have that same feeling, though, every year, where I'm like, is it just this year where I don't know anything that's happening? And then the June press conferences unfold, and I'm like, right, it's just like this. Our entire lives are defined by December announcements and June announcements. I don't know why, but they are.
I guess the difference this year is that the sort of February to May period was unusually fallow. And so as a result, there is no Tears of the Kingdom or some other massive thing. There was really just FF7 Rebirth, which as much as we loved it, wasn't really quite on the same level as those.
That's right.
As like a huge
And then there
game.
were like Pal World and Helldivers 2, which kind of like came out of nowhere and were like weird examples.
Right, it was more flukes than like massive hits. And so as a result, it just feels like it's been a long time without the kinds of big games that typically come out in the fall and that will still come out this fall. So maybe that's kind of coloring my view.
I think that's a big
Definitely.
part of it,
Yeah. And so, Xbox, the rumors also suggest there'll be a new Doom game, a new Gears of War game, maybe a Gears compilation. It might be one of those kind of rapid fire announcements, showcases. I don't know if people are still feeling like really pissed about Xbox like abruptly shutting down Arcane Austin and Tango, but I guess we'll see what reactions are
That'll
like.
be a subtext for sure, right?
I think so.
That people feel pretty betrayed and upset with. I mean, I'm assuming people still feel that way. It was only a couple weeks ago.
And I assume they're going to have probably a couple Blizzard announcements to sprinkle in. And maybe other people have forgotten about how many people they let go at Blizzard, but I haven't. I'm still thinking about it. So even that part of it is going to be kind of weird and interesting to watch, to just be like, oh, right, you own all these studios now. And there are fewer people at almost all of them. Great.
Yeah. Diablo 4 expansion will get a release date for sure.
Yep.
That'll be this fall.
The fact that they are facing this backlash from all the harm that they caused in laying all these people off, and the fact that they're facing backlash from the Xbox army over the fact that they're releasing more and more games on other consoles. Like, if they announce Indiana Jones and they're like, and it's also coming to PS5.
It's like, well,
I think that would be great. They should probably do that. But there are a lot of more people, like fans of theirs, that'll be upset about that, I think.
Or we'll just be like, why are you running your business this way? Like, it doesn't make sense to do that. But I think it's truly because console exclusives don't make financial sense if you're going to spend that much freaking money on a video game. I mean, I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah, it seems that way. I liked Ollie Welsh's article.
Yeah, this is clearly informing my take as a Polygon
was smart. Well, and you have to just imagine someone at Sony looking at Helldivers making like $70 billion or whatever because they released it on PC as well and being like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah,
like,
was that maybe
what's the
good?
benefit of having a console exclusive?
Yeah,
again?
I mean, keeping in mind, guys, like Xbox hasn't been exclusive to Xbox in years. Like they've been releasing all their games on PC for 5-6 years now. So I mean, which is the main reason that the Xbox sales are so low is because there's no reason to get an Xbox if you have a PC. So like that they're already pretty much multi-platform. I mean, PlayStation, I think the reason people are so emotional about that is because all these Xbox like fans who used to have the Scorpios in their Twitter handles are so like emotionally invested in taking down PlayStation, and to them it's a big betrayal. But like it's not like Xbox has been exclusive for a long time. That's why we're in the situation
and you can
right.
see PlayStation is kind of maybe one step behind Xbox, but they're both companies are moving along the same trajectory toward eventually just being like, well, screw it, we need to recoup our budgets, let's just release our games everywhere that we can.
100%. It's kind of it's an antiquated notion, this idea of console exclusivity, and we'll see how long Nintendo even sticks with it. I guess theirs is the only model that has worked because they're so big and they make so many good games that they can get away with it, I suppose.
You know, Ali also pointed out his theory was just that a lot of Nintendo games are a lot cheaper to make, which I hadn't really thought about, but makes sense. That Nintendo doesn't release a lot of like the types of AAA experiences like a Spider-Man 2 or a God of War, like a game that requires that many people to make it, aside from Zelda. Most of their games are kind of smaller teams and are a little bit less expensive, which I thought it totally makes sense to me, at least as a theory.
Yeah, which they can get away with because even their smaller games are selling like 1 million plus units, and also because they're only releasing stuff on their own store, they don't have to give away a 30% cut to platform holders. So, which has traditionally been the reason that Sony and Xbox are so into exclusives is not having to pay that 30% cut. But anyway, this is a whole another conversation, and maybe we'll see them address it in some way. What I think it'll be hilarious is if they have to like mention PlayStation in their conference, or maybe they just mention it in a press release later. I don't know. It'd be weird.
I mean,
either way.
That's largely how PlayStation handled it in their own version of it. Like they did an announcement that Marvel Rivals, which has only been in beta on PC so far, is coming to PlayStation. And the whole trailer was like PlayStation, PlayStation, PlayStation. And like I was writing up that news and I was like, the rumor said that it was coming to PlayStation and Xbox, but this trailer is obviously focusing on PlayStation. I'm watching a PlayStation event and I had to like Google it after the fact as I was writing up the news to find out that it was also going to be on Xbox Series X, and like write my post to be like, it's a full console release. Sony is just going to only highlight the PlayStation 5 in this trailer. And I would expect Xbox to do something similar, which is like, that's kind of the old guard console wars thing.
That's
I feel like small print,
always
also it's on the other console. Please don't pay attention to this.
So the last like big press conference by a big publisher this weekend is going to be Ubisoft on Monday. We know because they've said they're going to talk about the new Assassin's Creed, which I'm very stoked about. Star Wars Outlaws is another one. So those are some of the other big fall games. Assassin's Creed in November, Star Wars in August, actually. So summer game. And Ubisoft also always shows like some smaller stuff, and they always have like a big one more thing at the end. That's been their style for many years now. So chances are they'll tease at something like Division 3 or some other big Ubisoft game with lots of towers to come out in the near future. So that'll be exciting. What I'm very curious about is Assassin's Creed Red, or Shadows now it's called. I can't wait to see that in action. And I'm also very curious to see how the Assassin's Creed Infinity platform plays into that. That is, of course, their like live service platform.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to trot that back out again and be like, we still care about Assassin's Creed Infinity. I feel like we haven't heard those words in a bit, and a lot of games that have had Infinite or Infinity in the title have not necessarily ended up being the live service dreams come true.
Yeah, so just to explain this, so Assassin's Creed Infinity is their hub. It's essentially going to be like their version of the Animus or whatever. So that's where you're going to access Shadows, and then also the next game after that, which is codename Hex. And so you're going to be able to play within that stuff. You're also going to have like the Desmond stuff, whatever, Animus modern day stuff in there, and microtransactions. It's going to be like a service game essentially. And the question is what that's going to look like, how angry it's going to make people, how intrusive it's going to be, how predatory it's going to be. Those are some big questions. I don't know if they'll address it this weekend, but Assassin's Creed Infinity has not gone away. It is an integral part of these games, and like Ubisoft sees it as their future, their version of GTA Online or whatever.
The way you're describing it, it sounds kind of Fortnite-y, and I don't necessarily mean that as a bad thing, but I mean the way that when you load up Fortnite, you can like pick all of these different game modes, and it looks like the front page of Netflix, and you're like looking at all these different squares where you're like, do I want to play Lego Fortnite? Do I want to play the like Rock Band version of Harmonix that's in Fortnite now? It's like that, but instead you're like clicking on different Assassin's Creed stuff, which is a way to do
That's what's
it.
missing for me is like, what do you actually do here? Like in Fortnite, you play Fortnite to begin with. There is a game where if Infinity is not actually its own game, you know, then what is it? But I guess we'll find out if they actually show what it is.
It's just one of those Animus computers that you're just navigating with like an old Windows UI. You're just clicking on file folders and then you like boot up the game.
The great fun of so many Assassin's Creed games is that they build these capsules around the game where you're walking around in a game dev studio in Montreal, you know, like in Assassin's Creed 4.
Right. Why not have it be that? That works.
Maybe it will be that, and then they find the question is what they're going to do to monetize this thing, because that's ultimately their big. They're big.
And Fortnite is a good comparison for that because they've done a really good job at that. I just don't know if Ubisoft is just going to nail it.
The idea, imagining monetization is impossible for me without understanding what you actually do in it. It's very hard before the horse. Like you can monetize Fortnite because I understand what Fortnite is as a game and why someone would want to buy skins for it. But I don't know what this is, so I don't know.
But this is like, are we going to have like Ezio doing like cool TikTok dances and we like purchase those? Like, is that going to be part of it?
In what context is he doing those dances?
I don't know. I
don't know. I hope we find out more soon. But yeah, so that's essentially the weekend, and then we've got some appointments that we all have lined up. I think I'm gonna get to play Metaphor, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah, very curious about that game.
I think a lot of the stuff. So a key difference between this and E3, another key difference is that a lot of the stuff we're seeing will be embargoed, like you mentioned, Maddy. So we won't be able to talk about it until the following week. I mean, it's that kind of is a big change from E3, where typically there were no embargoes because a lot of the stuff you were seeing just
you just write it up right away. Show floor
were saying.
I actually remember going to a press conference, I think at my first E3, I believe it was for Beyond Two Souls, and I wrote up the demonstration super fast because I was in like, let's be a professional writer and go fast mode, and I like ran it and then got an email from PR being like, that was embargoed until like 8 p.m. tonight, and I was like, what? There's an embargo on this for an E3? So sometimes things were embargoed at E3. They forgave me. It was okay in the end.
That's hilarious.
Rarely, though. I would say rarely, as opposed to this.
Yeah, it was the exception.
Because this Playdays event is really only press. They're going to be there. So like they can embargo it, as opposed to when fans are there or other industry professionals are there, and they can they're not going to stick to embargoes. Right. So that'll be interesting to see. I'm very curious about what that experience is like this year, because that's also very different from what I remember last year. Most of it was not embargoed. So we'll see how things go and how things shake out. But it should be a fun weekend, even if it's not quite the E3 that we all know and love.
It'll still be fun.
You know what? We never did a Triple Click live show at E3, so I think this is going to be better than E3 ever was.
That's true. So this is actually way cooler.
That's true. Well, that's because Triple Click didn't exist when E3
That's
existed.
right.
Details, whatever. Anyways, played it.
Well, we didn't do a split screen one either, so whatever.
We could have called it Triple Click.
Oh, see, that would have been so good. Like the 3 right in the title. We could have been punning it up. I mean, this is why E3 needs to come back.
We'll do that at the next E3.
The next E3. Whenever that happens, maybe if we buy the brand, we can bring it back and do a Key League competitor.
Triple 3.
Before we go, do you guys have like a single game you're most excited to see or play or check out or hope gets announced or anything like that?
I mean, I'm really excited about a lot of the stuff we talked about, like Assassin's Creed, Dragon Age, but I'm the person on this show who's played every Gears of War video game and really likes it. So I am unironically excited for them to announce a Gears 6. I don't know if it's going to happen. I have no inside information about this whatsoever. I actually thought Gears 5 was a really good video game. People can go dig up a review. I did of it at Kotaku. I was still at Kotaku back then. And I really loved it. I think Gears 4 was pretty mid. And I think a lot of people kind of fell off after that because they were like, oh, Cliffy B's gone, the magic's gone, whatever. But I felt like Gears 5 was really cool. And they like did some neat stuff with the Locust storyline and those characters that was interesting and what I had always wanted those first 3 games to do, with just the whole premise of like humans settling on a world that it was already inhabited, just like as a cool sci-fi premise and like commentary, social commentary in there. So I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm ready for them to do another story about those same characters. And it's been years because I work at a different publication now. So I don't know. I would like to know what's going on with that franchise. So I hope we get something about that. But I haven't even heard leaks about that. So I don't know if they're going to do that or not. That's my hope.
Yeah, I like Gears too. I've actually played them all as well, and that'd be cool. I'm most looking forward to seeing Monster Hunter Wilds because I've become a Monster Hunter sicko.
Valid. That game does look very cool. Yeah.
And that game looks cool as hell, and it's kind of the same team that made Monster Hunter World. I've seen people say that they like that so much more than Rise. I loved Rise, but I liked World too, so I'll be happy no matter what. I watched the trailer. It looked cool. I want to see more of it, so that's the one I've got my eye on.
Do you think Monster Hunter World and Monster Hunter Wilds is going to be like Outer World and Outer Wilds? Where
they're very different, but people mix up the names all the time.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, we are all looking forward to it, and we hope we see many of you fine listeners out at our live show on Saturday night. All right,
Yay.
And on that note, let's take a break, and we'll be back with one more thing.
I'm Sequoia Holmes, pop culturist and host of the Black People Love Paramore podcast. Contrary to the title, it is not a podcast about the band Paramore. Each episode, I, along with a special guest co-host, dissect one pop culture topic that mainstream media doesn't associate with Black people, but we know that we like. Tune in every Thursday to the podcast that's dedicated to helping Black people feel more seen, here on Maximum Fun.
I'm Yucky Jessica.
I'm Chuck Crudsworth.
And this is Terrible,
A podcast where we talk about things we hate that are awful.
Today we're discussing Wonderful, a podcast on the Maximum Fun Network.
Hosts Rachel and Griffin McElroy, a real-life married couple,
Yuck!
discuss a wide range of topics. Music, video games, poetry, snacks.
But I hate all that stuff.
I know you do, Yucky Jessica.
It comes out every Wednesday, the worst day of the week, wherever you download your podcasts.
For our next topic, we're talking Fiona, the baby hippo from the Cincinnati Zoo.
I hate this little hippo.
And we are back. It is time for our One More Thing press conference of Summer Games Fest, where we will all be revealing our world premieres of our One More Things. I'll go first. I got a quick one. I read a new book called The Ministry of Time by Kaliane Bradley. Pretty interesting book. I didn't love it, but I liked it, and I think it's one that a lot of people will be into. So the concept of this book is that there's this government agency in the UK called the Ministry of Time, and it is responsible for going back in time and plucking people from situations in which they were facing near death and bringing them into the future and seeing how they react to modern world. And the main character of this book is a unnamed lady who is the kind of the handler for a what they are called expats in the book. So this kind of time travel, this guy, this shipman from the 1800s who is now living in the modern world, and so it is about the handler and the shipman and their relationship over time. And what I didn't expect was that this was going to turn into like a full-on like romance novel, which I didn't like. Not my personal taste. Romance novels are not generally my thing. And so there was a lot of kind of like description of sex that I'm sure a lot of readers would be really into, but I was just like, this is not doing anything
You
for
thought
me.
you were reading a cool sci-fi book.
Yeah,
It's a romance.
I thought it was going to be like a little more on the side of, I don't know, interesting, thought-provoking comedy and kind of, so I still liked it, and it's a cool story, and it's fun, and it's got some cool thriller aspects too, but a lot of it is about romance, which I just was not into. And again, as I've said before, I'm really into like romance in general when it's done as part of like some of these stories. It's just this one didn't really work for me for various reasons. But I did get a kick out of the fact that the author of this book said in an interview that she essentially was inspired to write the book by seeing a portrait of this guy in the 1800s, and he just was strikingly handsome. And that's what made her want to write the book. Which
That's hilarious.
Amazing and hilarious. So yeah, it's called The Ministry of Time.
Who hasn't been inspired by a hot person? Really?
Exactly.
The most inspiring thing you can see. You know, if you didn't like The Ministry of Time, maybe you should read The Ministry for the Future. Just another ministry, another time-related ministry that you might like a little bit
Different
more.
ministry.
Yes. This one's a lot shorter. But yeah, people might notice that my One More Things in recent weeks have been books, and that's because I finally finished my book, so I have time to read books, which is nice.
Yeah.
I've been on a fiction kick recently, which has been fun. All right, Maddy, what's your One More Thing?
All right, so I couldn't talk about Elden Ring or MasterChef again, even though those are the only two things I've been engaging with for the past several weeks. And it is what it is, but I don't think I've ever talked about the fact that Dina and I own an inflatable kayak on the show before, and it's finally nice enough for us to use it. And I just really recommend this as a date activity for really anyone who lives near water of any kind. Rivers, streams, lakes. Anyway, it fits in the back of the car, and every time we take it out, other people stop and they watch us inflate it, and we convince them to buy one. And that's just like a regular conversation we have with strangers once a week, because once it's nice out, we just go every single week, and it's the best. And it's how I've learned about so many different kinds of birds and plant life.
Nice.
Because it's important to just leave the house, y'all.
And Dina is a bird knower, right?
Yeah,
She
Dina's
knows
a big
about
bird knower. So I, over the course of our relationship, I've learned a lot more about birds. But mostly it's just really nice to get away from screens at least once a week, because almost everything else I do revolves around screens. So getting an inflatable kayak was really, really good for that.
Maddy, let me ask you something. When you
Sure.
Have you ever felt a little nervous about the fact that you were on the water, like on this thing that you've blown up with your mouth?
No, because it's very durable feeling. Like it is made out of the same kind of material as like a whitewater raft. If you've ever touched one of those, like that extremely thick rubber, the only way that it could really be pierced, you'd have to try extremely hard. You'd have to like take a knife to it, which no one has yet done. I feel like the only time we ever really got nervous about it was one time we saw a really big snapping turtle, like a really big guy. And we were like, that guy could probably take us out if he wanted to. But mostly it was just a cool thing to see.
Yeah, I don't think
he was doing his own thing.
I don't know much about snapping turtles, but I can't imagine they're randomly
why would
going
he
for
be interested,
inflatable
you know?
kayaks.
Yeah, not really, no. But it could potentially leak. I mean, we certainly have like had things happen over time where we've been like, oh, these knobs need to be replaced. But like, it's made by Advanced Elements. That's the name of the brand, Advanced Elements, and they have a lot of like really easily replaceable parts of the kayak. So it's like very easy to keep it, you know, floating. I don't know, seaworthy. Yeah, seaworthy. That's the word I'm looking for.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah. So it's not
Awesome.
a danger.
Nice. We use inflatable paddle boards. We have a pair of
there you
those,
go.
which are
Yeah.
very similar, and
Yeah.
it's similarly durable. Like when you've inflated one of those suckers, you don't think twice about it. It's like a surfboard.
No,
Like,
it doesn't
just
even
does
feel
not
inflated
feel-
anymore. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
an
not
object.
like an inflatable raft that you may be picturing with like
Yes.
pillowy sides. No, this thing is like rock solid.
Or like an
so, yeah.
inner tube that you have in a pool or whatever. This is like
no.
way, way, way beyond
Yeah,
the level.
you can
of
ride
something like
rapids
that.
in those things, or
Yes.
maybe you can anyways. But yeah, that's also a very fun way to go out. And it is, I agree that it's really nice to just like find a river or a lake and just take them
Just
out
be
there
out
and
there.
just be out on the water. Yeah, it's very fun.
All right, Kirk's one more thing is inflatable paddle boards. All right, and that's it for this week's. No, what's your one more thing, Kirk?
My One More Thing is a game that I played after hearing Griffin McElroy talk about it on the Besties. And it was completely off my radar. And then it dumped in my lap and I played it and it's great. It's called Crow Country. It's on consoles and PC. And I really love this game. When I heard him say the name, I figured it would be some adorable, I don't know, bird dating sim or something like that. That would be funny. It is not.
I think, by the way, it was off your radar because it came out the same day as Animal Well, so got a little bit of oversaturation.
And it was
there.
like around the same time as Lorelei. Like there were a lot of like cool
Yeah.
indie games in that same bottleneck.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, also I just don't pay as close attention. I mean, Lorelei, I actually heard about that from Chris Plant. Like that, even though it was a Sumogo game that I should have known about, I just don't pay as close attention. So these games kind of just bubble up, and then I play them and feel very happy that they exist. So Crow Country is a throwbacky survival horror game. It looks very much like a PS1 era game, and man, it's cool.
I love that this aesthetic is so popular now, by the way, that there's just so many PS1 era horror games like on the market now, usually indie games.
I agree.
It's so cool.
So I think this was last year. Was that when Signalis came out?
Yeah.
I think that was a game from last year. So that was one of my top 10 games of that year. I loved Signalis. That game doesn't really look like a PS1 game. It kind of has its own vibe, but it's another kind of, isometric,
Low poly,
Silent Hill
crunchy
inspired,
looking. Yeah.
with really stylized graphics and just it's super deep vibes. And Crow Country is very similar, low poly, beautiful looking, and really strong vibes. I think it was a Steam review described it as cozy survival horror, which is not totally inaccurate. You play as a special agent. What's her name? Her name is Mara Forrest. And she is looking for Edward Crow, who is a rich guy who owns an amusement park, and the amusement park is called Crow Country. And so she goes to Crow Country, and it's this horrifying amusement park full of monsters, basically. But when she gets there, everything is clearly wrong. There's trash everywhere. It's all messed up. And she kind of parks her car outside, and then you enter. And it totally, they just nail all the rhythms, all the UI sounds, and the look of that era of survival horror. You can control the camera. You kind of rotate it with the thumbstick, and you have a 360-degree view, but you're always looking down isometrically. It's really slow to aim. You aim with the left stick after aiming. There are two control options. You can do old fashioned, aim and then shoot with a face button, which just feels terrible because it feels like old Metal Gear or old,
Resident Evil. Yeah.
You can also shoot with the trigger, which is slightly better, but it's really designed where you have to stay in place and, you can't move while you're shooting and a monster will be slowly walking toward you. And I really I've probably played, I don't know how much, maybe a third or so of this game. So I haven't finished it, but I'm definitely going to. I don't believe it's super long. It's probably 5 to 10 hours. The story's really cool. It's not exactly breaking new ground. It's a haunted amusement park. There are secrets and there's a backstory of tragedy and the kinds of things you would expect. But it is really well written and really well put together. I really liked most of the puzzles that I've solved. The enemies have been very surprising. They start out kind of just these monsters, but then there are some really cool enemy designs that'll really surprise you. There are moments where you kind of get scared, even though, I'm playing on Steam Deck, and the whole game has this kind of diorama-like, really beautiful, hazy energy that feels cozy. It really does, even when you're in a kind of horrible, overgrown or moss-ridden, blood-soaked room. So I really, really dig it. I highly recommend it to anybody who thinks that sounds good. I'm pretty sure there's a demo, or at least there's a demo on Steam, so you can kind of give it a taste, and I think you'll know if it's your vibe, and I think it will be a lot of people's vibes. And also, the last thing I'll say is, the studio that made this is actually really interesting. They're SFB Games. They're a British game developer that was started by two brothers in the early 2000s. It's a reference to their original name, SFB, which was Super Flash Bros. Or Super Flash Brothers. They started on Newgrounds making Flash games when they were really
make
young.
Flash games?
That
That's
sounds
funny.
familiar.
Yeah, so they've made a few really cool games. They made Snipper Clips, if you remember that game, which was this very clever puzzle game. And they made a few other ones, some narrative games that were on Apple Arcade. So they've been around this whole time, just making different kinds of games and always, I think, displaying a lot of creativity. And it's cool that they're still just doing their thing. And then they made this really wonderful game that I am really enjoying. So yeah, great game. That's Crow Country. It's on consoles and PC, and I really recommend it.
They made Tangle Tower also. That was a cool game too.
Yeah, those are the ones. That's what I was talking about. I was forgetting the name, but yeah, I think there's a few of those. It's like Tangle Tower is one game in a series of these mystery games. I never played any of them, but I think people like them in general.
Gotcha. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, that is it for this week's episode. We will see hopefully some of you soon in just a couple of days in Los Angeles. And then for those of you who cannot come to Los Angeles, we will be airing that episode as next week's episode. So next week's episode will be our live episode, live from Los Angeles. And one more thing I'll say, a little teaser for those of you who listened through all the way to the very end, is that the three of us, while we're in Los Angeles, will also be working on a secret project that we cannot wait to share with you all.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that. It's a secret
It's
project.
really good.
We're very excited.
A very tantalizing tease.
I think it'll be one of those things that comes out later this year, right? That's the plan.
Something
and
like that.
people are gonna flip a shit when they find
You're gonna
out
lose
about
it. It's gonna be a crazy world premiere that people are gonna
Yeah, right.
tune
It'll be
in
better
for.
than any of the other reveals this week.
Yep, that's right.
All
We did.
right. See you both next time.
See you next time.
Bye.
Triple Click is produced by Jason Schreier, Maddy Myers, and me, Kirk Hamilton. I edit and mix the show and also wrote our theme music. Our show art is by Tom DJ. Some of the games and products we talked about on this episode may have been sent to us for free for review consideration. You can find a link to our ethics policy in the show notes. Triple Click is a proud member of the Maximum Fun Podcast Network, and if you like our show, we hope you'll consider supporting us by becoming a member at MaximumFun.org/join. Find us on Twitter at TripleClickPod, send email to tripleclick@MaximumFun.org, and find a link to our Discord in the show notes. Thanks for listening. See you next time.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported
directly
by you.